Welcome to the Spiritualpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Christian, aka Love Pixel. And in each episode, we sit down with spiritual entrepreneurs sharing their knowledge, wisdom, and tools on their path to authentic success. Let's dive in. What is up, beautiful people? Christian here from the Successful Spiritualpreneur Podcast. And today we have a super exciting guest for you guys. His name is Mike Howell, and he is a dedicated practitioner who serves individuals seeking to break free from old patterns, expand their consciousness, and deepen their connection with self, others, and the world. His journey began in the world of acting, where he earned a BFA from Syracuse University. However, feeling unfulfilled in his role, Mike embarked on a transformative path guided by a trusted mentor towards a more fulfilling calling. His exploration into self-improvement led him to core energetics, where he underwent extensive training, including a 2-year program in core revolution and a 4-year professional training at the Institute of Core Energetics in New York, followed by postgraduate studies in the Netherlands. Currently, Mike is writing his thesis, further deepening his expertise in the field, and Mike integrates various disciplines into his practice, including mindfulness, meditation, shamanism, fitness, wellness, and his background in acting. This diverse approach helps him to offer a unique and impactful therapeutic experience, guiding individuals towards a holistic and integrated sense of self. Mike's work is driven by the belief that life is a teacher, guiding us through varied experiences to where we are meant to be, helping his clients to come back home to themselves and live into their potential. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Wow, that was so thorough. Thank you for that. Happy to be here.
You're
Happy to be with
welcome.
you.
Always good to come prepared, and good to have you on the show today. And yeah, I just came back. I'm a little bit tired. I just came back from the World Tea Expo in Las Vegas, where I was hanging
Fascinating.
out with some tea nerds. It was incredible. Tea is one of my passions. So apart from the web design and branding aspect, that I love to just like make love tangible with people in the digital space with Love Pixel Agency, right? I also love to bring that presence and the awareness into people's lives with tea, and actually have my own
Mm.
tea brand on Amazon and all kinds of
Wow.
funny thing ventures. Yeah, launched.
So we can find you on Amazon. Where can we find you there?
Yeah, so the brand is called One with Tea,
One
and
with tea. All right, I'm going to check it out.
yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, tea for me is a very special beverage because for me, I don't know, it's kind of like the everyday ayahuasca, if you can call it that. I don't know. It's hard. Like, not everybody has done ayahuasca. They can't really, even I haven't done ayahuasca yet. I'm going to do it this year in
Mm.
June. But I feel tea is such a sacred plant. And when I drink tea, the one thing I always look out for, or pretty much any substance that you kind of like consume, but especially with tea, what I look out for is kind of like the balance between divine masculine and divine feminine, right? Where is the tea? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is it too sweet? Is it too rough? Like, and usually at that point where the two meet is like, my God, what a great tea.
All right, so what's your favorite tea? What has the perfect blend of the two?
I mean, you can find that perfect blend in any individual tea category, I would say. Like
Okay.
that's right. But I would say my top two teas overall would be a Fukamushi Sencha, which is a deep steamed sencha, which sencha is a
Wow.
green tea for people who don't know sencha, Japanese green tea. And then my second favorite is an oolong tea.
Mm.
Um,
That I've heard
very, very, very balanced. Black tend to they're also great. They're a little bit more bolder than the oolongs. And the green, I just love this like grass vegetable. It's like you drink like I don't know, green grass life juice. It's incredible. So
I like that life juice. That's good.
yeah, it's so like I was at the tea expo yesterday and I had for breakfast I had a bagel and then had all day nothing until like 7 o'clock at night. I was just having tea and it's very nourishing. Like I feel there's a lot of you know health benefits and just like nourishing elements about tea that we forget. And it's funny because the brand that I have on Amazon actually the article got taken down like a couple months ago because I wrote about can prevent cancer and just like certain medical things, and they
Sure.
don't like that. They don't like that stuff.
Yeah, no, no, no.
So if you tell them there's alternatives to chemotherapy, they're not a big fan.
Yeah, turn that off. Not allowed. Silenced.
Yeah, yeah. But tea is great. Tea is fantastic. So if you haven't explored tea yet, I can only invite you, and it's a wonderful beverage.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with yours. So,
Yay, great. All right, so let's jump into your personal history. And so, can you give us a little bit, a brief overview of your background, your highlight, and how did you, what makes you passionate about helping people with what you do?
yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question. And like, where to actually, what's the entry point there? I think the thing that makes me passionate about this is how this work has impacted my life. Um, I had a very clear moment where, I was in the acting world. I was, pounding the pavement, doing the thing, and it just like, it was painful. It was actually painful. And when I realized that I was just kind of re injuring myself over and over and over and over, I had this moment of like stop and was like, oh, I need to do something different. And I had been in therapy for a while, and there was just this like aha moment in the desert at Burning Man where I was like, oh, this is the thing I'm supposed to do. And really, it just kind of, once I aligned myself with that, everything else just kind of opened. So I decided to move towards it, and I left the acting world, like did not look back once. And another job presented itself to me that was kind of a bridge job and allowed me to really like pay for all of my schooling and save up to be able to like really be able to focus on school and building a practice. And so it's just like somehow being in alignment with myself, the doors just opened. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the thing that drives me forward is my own experience through it all and feeling the transformation that I've gone through and continue to go through. It's not like there's an arrival point, you know. It's a continual process that I'm on, and I think that's part of, you know, it's the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. And what was the specific insight at Burning Man that led you to say, I need to do things different? Was there a moment that you remember? Because I like
Yeah,
this.
so the first time I went out there, I really got myself into just some very difficult situations with my then partner and a very close friend of mine, and just could not seem to like. Burning Man just brings up all your stuff,
Mm,
and I had this moment in the midst of all of that chaos of just this embodied sense of freedom. That's the best way I know how to explain it. And it was just like suddenly these blinders came off because like acting was the thing for me since second grade. Like I found it and like it was like this is the thing, this is what we're doing, and I just refused to take off those blinders. And so it was like a moment of like those getting taken off and the freedom of like, oh, there's so much more here. There's so much more here. And you talked about ayahuasca before, and that was a huge part of like psychedelics were a huge part of kind of that awakening for me. And initially it was like, this is what I want to do. I want to go towards psychedelic psychotherapy. And then, it kind of morphed and evolved and became this evolution with core energetics that I think, they still kind of they still work together. There's still some sort of coming together of those two things, but um, yeah, that's the best way I know how to explain it. Like the blinders coming off and just this freedom.
beautiful. And how did you decide, or why did you decide that you want to like coach people, like from actor, right, which is very like outward facing, to like, or now I want to like help people heal from the inside kind of thing. So how did that? Why coaching? Why not just, I don't know, like, or what was the motivation there?
I mean, I think really, I guess having my own experience as the actor, where it's all outward facing, like I'm constantly, or I should say, I was constantly seeking that validation from the outside. Like tell me I'm good enough, tell me I'm worthy, tell me, like trying to fill that from the outside. And this process has been one of realizing that like that's just never going to happen. Like that's just not what that is. Like those unmet childhood needs are never coming from the outside. It has to come from the inside. And so it's really like my own experience through that and going through the pain of that and coming out on the other side of something like that just drew me to really like helping humanity. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that, yeah, I mean, I guess I can go here. There's a way that I have always known, even as an actor, when I was an actor, it was kind of like I've always kind of held this idea. It's like we as a collective, as a whole, I think are at a pivotal moment in time. Like our consciousness is on the precipice of something. And I think, the last several years have been a very clear indication of that, in my opinion. And um, so once I made that pivot, it was like, this is a way that I can really affect change. Like putting people in touch with themselves, doing the healing work that they need to do so that they can be more, yeah, just connected to themselves. And then again, from that place, being able to face outward and how are we going to help the world? How are we going to help the collective? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We're in some danger.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's time for us all to really step up and make those changes in our lives, and it oftentimes feels like we need to make these outward big impact, but it always starts within, right?
Yeah, it has to.
And so I think that's very honorable and beautiful and the right path, I guess, in my experience, right? If it's not
Well,
from within.
yeah, it's like it's what's the alignment for you, right? Like it's not one size fits all. It's like what's your center, what's your alignment, and moving from that place and really connecting people to that place and then allowing them to go where they need to go.
And so that alignment, is that part of, like, let's talk a little bit about core energetics. Is that part, like, is alignment part of core energy? Can you explain a little bit about core energetics for people who don't know, who are not familiar with the concept? Like, because you've done so much studying and education around it, I think a lot of people might not have heard of it. So can you explain a little bit what it is and then, dive in a little bit into the concepts?
Yeah, so I mean, the best way to kind of explain it is it's like body based psychotherapy meets spiritual development. So there's this whole trend now that everyone's like, the body keeps the score. Everyone knows about this, right? And so core has kind of been in this place that was like, the original lineage of body based psychotherapy. So that came from Reich, who was a student of Freud. And then it was through bioenergetics, which was Lowen and Paracas. And then Paracas went off and created core energetics. And so the concept is that really like through our very early ages, so like 0 in utero to maybe like 7, the wounding that's happening is actually being structured into your body. And we work with the energy that we call it, like to break through the actual physical blocks in the body to put you back in touch with feeling. Because oftentimes as kids, those types of feelings are so utterly overwhelming and they actually equate like death. It's like we cannot feel that. So we do everything in our power to shut that down. And you can actually see that happening in someone's body. And so we work with all sorts of different techniques to break through some of those blockages and reconnect people with the feeling, with themselves. And um, yeah, I mean, it's a process. It's a real process.
How long would you say if somebody wanted to get into core energetics? What would be the process, or like what's the timeline on like getting into that kind of like work? Would you say, yeah, you can do stuff in a month or 3 months or 6 months? Or of course, the longer, the more, of course, right? But like, if you get into it, do it at least for like what, 3 months, 6 months? What do you recommend?
I mean, it's a real therapeutic container. So, I mean, I think that like to really see lasting change and transformation, you're probably looking at a couple years,
Wow.
truthfully. I mean, I think you will see effects very quickly because it is going towards the body. It's not just talking about the problem and going in circles. But I mean, I've been at this for, I think, 11 years at this point. And it's like there's constantly something else, there's constantly something deeper. you know? And I guess it's really kind of where the person, like how deep they want to go. It's not like you have to go to the very bottom, and dredge it all up. You really don't. But um, yeah, it kind of depends on the process, I would say.
Yeah. So I'm always a fan of just making things tangible for
Mm,
people, right? So sometimes, like from my point of view, like I help people coach their, like, online strategy and business and yada yada. So is there anything we can do in this podcast that could be a little example of the work, like where you could coach me, or you could, like, just like, is there something like that, or you saying that we need just kind of like really a deep container? Is there a little fun exercise that we could do that people
mm.
could just get the feel of what core energy is, or like ask questions, just like maybe a little 5-10 minutes, like, because I'm happy to dive into things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question. Is there a way that we could actually do that? I mean, I don't think so, unless you want to like dive into personal history stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
let's see how far we come in like 5-10 minutes, right? And then, right, let's I mean, just,
well, how
I
about
think.
we start with this?
Hmm.
Like, bring your awareness to your breath. Don't change anything.
Hmm.
Just feel how it's moving in your body. Notice if there's anywhere that feels constricted or held. Again, nothing needs to change. Just notice. And as you're here breathing, what sensations are you aware of in your body?
So what I feel is like a tension on the right side of my body, kind of like up my spine.
Hmm. Anything on the left?
The left feels a lot more free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what do you notice about your breath?
Well, I noticed that there's more air coming through the left side of my nostril than the right side.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. Um, the breath itself is feels a little shallow.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
haven't breathed deep in a while. I would say like 24 hours, like really deep. Just very, being on the T Expo and running around and talking to people. It's like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So from here, if we were in person, I
Hmm.
might put you on what we call the roller to bring awareness to your diaphragm because there's probably some tension there. Oftentimes, the first way um, that we try to lessen feeling is to lessen our breathing. Um, and then I would eventually come back to that right side of your body, like you feeling the right side, like the tension in your right spine. And depending on our relationship and how far we've gone into moving energy, I might ask you to try to move something from that place. We may hit, we may kick, we may, I mean, there's a variety of different things. And then from that place, try to understand like what comes up. right? Like, is there something there? Like, is that bringing images up? Is that bringing like some sort of history up? That's one way in, to kind of come in from the body. The other way is to really bring in a specific topic, like something that's happening in your life or something that's been with you that feels unresolved in some way. And then from that place, using that issue, taking it into the body and trying to move through it. So there's a million different ways it can happen. And part of the beauty of the work is the creativity that's available in it.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, when I was living in Bali as a digital nomad, before I got married, have a child, kind of like settled in the US, I met a person who was talking about how different sides and different parts of the body have like just different functions. Can you speak a little bit to that? For example, like what I've heard, for example, I don't know if it's like 100% true, but it makes sense. Like, for example, the right side is kind of like the masculine side, the left side is the feminine side. Like, is that something you can confirm, or is there any other pinpoints that you can, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that's not really something that uh, they've not really like distilled that in core, but that's always been my understanding of it. That the right side tends to be more masculine, more active, more forward moving, whereas the left side tends to be more receptive, more passive, more feminine. But it's not something that I learned through my training. That's something that's just kind of been with me.
Hmm, good. All right. Okay. So let's go back to a little bit to your moment, like with the where you changed to make your decision from burning to like change your career and change your life. Like, can you share like any initial challenges that you faced, or like how did you kind of like bridge that the old to new life?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of challenges kind of along the way. I think a lot of social contracts that I created in the sense of, relationship dynamics that were kind of from this old place. I had to do a lot of shifting. And with that, um, there's a lot that happens when people expect you to show up a certain way. And so there were things that ended, things that shifted, things that changed. Um, I think that's really kind of a part of anyone's like real journey towards themselves. I think that that's something someone will run into. Um, the the job that I ended up taking uh, was not a easy job. I ended up managing a wealthy family's estate because while I was acting, I catered. It was the way I made the bulk of my money, and so I knew kind of how to operate in some of those uh, wealthier homes, let's say. And I mean, it was a very, very awesome experience and really gave me so much opportunity. But there was lots of struggles in terms of like, can I actually do this? Like, my life was not my own for a period of time. And
Hmm.
I had to just kind of hold the vision of like, this is the thing I'm moving towards. This is what it's about. And ultimately that really paid off and it was the right decision, but it was tough for a little while.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, when we go through a rebirth or a recalibration, there's always some resistance that we face. And
Hmm.
so my next question would be about, like, when did you start thinking about creating an online presence with your business, and
Not
how
till very
far?
recently. Yeah.
Yeah, and how far were you into, like, I would say the process, or how many years, or the kind of, yeah, tell us a little bit about that. Like, when did you actually start? Yeah, I think it's time for a website and being present and being offering this, like, publicly.
Yeah, so once I graduated and really kind of started to build my practice, like the question I always got on intro calls was like, do you have a website? And I was like, no, I don't. Um, and so, I poked around, and some websites are just bad. Like, they're just bad. And I have a little bit of tech savvy, but not enough to be able to like put something together that I would think would be uh you know that would look decent. And so I finally got to this place where I was like, okay, like I need to, this needs to happen. This feels like it's kind of like um a marker along the way. And that was recent. I would say it was in the last 6 months that that really happened for me. Because yeah, like in terms of social media, I'm not really a participant of what's happening in social media, so that's kind of kept me a little bit further out. Um, but in terms of a website, like it does feel like you kind of have to have it.
Yeah, yeah. It's always kind of like when somebody gets a website, whether it's in the beginning or in the, whatever stage it is, it's always kind of like putting kind of like a stake in the ground, saying like, "This is who I am now," right?
Yeah,
Whether it's starting out or later, you have multiple offerings. Um, but yeah, it's always like an energetic, like anchoring feels.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, there's definitely something energetic about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I mean that's why I love working with people who do that, right? Because we bring their vision, their something that they've decided they actually want to do as a website, right? That means just they really are committed to whatever it is they're going to put on there, right?
Yeah,
Because it takes time, it takes energy, it takes money often if you don't do it yourself. In the beginning, oftentimes, you do it yourself. Um, but yeah, it's a beautiful expression, and I think that's how the message spreads, right?
yeah, exactly. It's a way for people to find you.
Yeah, great. So, are you looking into creating some more social content, or you plan on staying kind of like offline? Like, how do you think of generating traffic or visitors, or how do you get your clients?
Yeah, so I, at this point, am not planning to create content for social media. Therapy and social media to me don't mix super well, at least in the way that I've been able to conceptualize it. That's not to say that maybe there's something else down the road, but um, a lot of the way that I have found to kind of create engagement is through community. And COVID really did a number here in New York in terms of the community that was part of Core Energetics. And so part of what I want to do is I want to really like re-enliven that community and give people like, these experiences that kind of give them a taste of the work. And um, yeah, and to just really have a place, because like that really just all dispersed after COVID.
So, what do you think could be a good way, thinking from a online perspective right now, what could be a good way to give people a taste of your work online? Like, how could they, without meeting you at a, cool event or, just without meeting you in person, like, what could be a good way for people to get a taste of your work?
Yeah, there may be like, I mean, body work is a big part of core, and so possibly doing some sort of Zoom meeting where we do like a 45-minute body work session,
Mhm.
and just kind of invite people to share a little bit afterwards. Just
Is there anything you can offer that people can do themselves, where you can like instruct them, or
mm,
I'm thinking kind of like muscle testing or whatever. Not that probably not part of core, but like what's something they could offer that people can just consume at any time in any given. You know what I mean? 2 weeks. I'm just thinking, like,
yeah, there may be at some point merit in putting together some sort of course that kind of talks about some of the, like, there are these definite tenets that we use in core, um, and to kind of give people a bit of psychoeducation around all these different things, like that could be a way, and that could really kind of be self-paced, and people could really just dive in at their leisure.
yeah, I think that's gonna be a really good offering, right? Just because I think it's an offering that a lot of people don't really know what it's about. core energetics,
Hmm.
or yeah, core energetics, and it's just good to have some sort of education up front, right? Yes, they can read about it, but if you actually talk about it, like right now, you explain it so well on the podcast, and it's like, oh, I get it now, you know.
Hmm.
So even yeah, even if you have if you have some time and just record a video for your website in the future to be like, hey, welcome, this is me, and this is what I do, and this is core energetics, and this is why I believe in it. I think is really really great, and especially people with AI more coming online, like they look for this personal connection, right? Because in 5 years. AI will be able to give you the answer to anything you want to know. Hey, I want to create a website and make $5,000 passive income while keeping my, I don't know, part-time job. What can I do? Diggy, 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 diggy. Here you go. Choose. Right.
Yeah.
So it's really inviting us to, number one, get clear in what we want in our lives with AI coming, and also it really brings forward the personal connection again,
Hmm. Yeah. Has to.
because anything is going to be so accessible through AI and technology. Um, so, are you? What do you think about AI technology? Are you using it in your business? You plan to? You don't like it at all? What's your stance?
I mean, I think it's. I can see the potential that's there. I can also see the like the potential ruin. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's a very delicate balance. If I'm honest, like I can certainly see that there are a lot of good things that it could do. Um, but to your point about the personal connection, like anytime I've tried to use it, like that seems to be very much missing. And that to me is like a hallmark of what my work is about. That personal connection and being in the room with people, being connected. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, that feels like it's kind of taking us further away from that. So I guess my inclination at this point is to, you know, not go towards it.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, we use it quite a bit in our agency. I think it's been super helpful for some things, but others are just like, yeah, it doesn't have that like that finesse with branding and emotions and like feeling into something that we
Mhm.
humans have yet. I'm pretty sure it's gonna get there. Um, but yeah, and you mentioned in the beginning of the podcast that you say that we live in dire times. A lot of things is many things are happening. There's a big restructuring. Like, what do you think is coming for humanity?
Yeah, that's a tough question. What's actually coming? I don't know. I have no idea.
What do you think?
But yeah, I mean, there are. It feels like there's a split happening, and there are people who, and from the lens of psychology, you can even put it in this like we're in the midst of an individuation process, like people really trying to find their sovereignty, um, and people who do not want to do that, who want someone to tell them what to do and how to do it. And the means of control are quite extreme right now, in my opinion. And the division is like it's never been before, and I think that that's by design. And part of what I think needs to happen is we've really got to find a way to come together. Like that's
Mhm.
really what it's about. Find the compassion and empathy.
So when you say by design, you mean by divine design or by design of other human parties?
Could be both. I mean, it's similar to what you said in the intro, right? It's like life is the teacher, and all of the things that are playing out in the world and how they're affecting us are information for what's actually happening within inside of us. Where are you in all of that? How is that affecting you? How are you feeling about all of that? It's all information.
So how is there any, like, from your perspective with core energetics, like what what would you recommend to people to do in the upcoming months or years? Like what's a helpful practice? What are helpful tools or routines to embody?
Yeah, find your center. Find what that means for you. Like finding ways to bring yourself back into presence. We're so distracted with technology and, all the shiny things that are around us. Like finding ways to really slow down and connect to yourself. Like, where are you? What's happening? Why is it happening? Really, really like, finding time to meditate or finding different ways to be in your body, like reconnect to your body, because that's part of who you are.
Hmm.
I think that's so the divide in that, even, in ourselves, of like the body and the mind are two separate things, but it's like, no, actually, this is all one.
So how can we do that? I think one way is breath. Is there
Breath is great.
anything else?
Meditation is good. Any sort of embodiment practice. For some people, that's yoga. For some people, that's working out. For some people, it's going for a walk. It could be anything. Um, Connection to nature. It's a variety of different ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tea.
Tea.
Exactly. Tea. Totally.
Tea always brings me my center. I love tea.
Yeah. Having that moment to like slow down and like connect with yourself, be with the tea. Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's totally it.
I know. Yeah, tea is great. I feel like oftentimes, like when you're tired, tea picks you up, and then also like when you're like lethargic, and it's just like it supports you either way, or kind of like it balances you out because it has both sides. It has
Mm,
that like feminine slowing down, and also has that masculine, a little bit, moving on, being alive. It's yeah. I'm happy we talked about that. Um,
it fits
so
perfect.
yeah, so for any like new spiritual entrepreneurs or people who are starting out with their business and who have like a vision like you had and kind of like want to change your life, is there any like advice you would give them, or any like, yeah, do you have any tips for them, what to do, how to think, what to be?
I mean, I think it's literally what we just said. It's like you've got to hold on to your center. Like it has to move from that place. And trusting that when you move from there and you're in alignment, everything else is going to happen. Like it's not your job to know the how.
Hmm. Beautiful. I think that's really deep, because a lot of times what we are interested in this superficial, kind of like social media website world is like, what's the how can I, what's the next Instagram hack or tactic or
Hmm.
so it's really beautiful to know that when, and this is like what you see across content too, like people who are just in their center and authentic, like their content does so much better than a scripted piece of this is how you do it kind of thing.
Right.
I saw this guy on Instagram um, the other day, and he just literally so he has this like big belly, and it's really big, you know. And all he does is like he stands there and he shakes his belly, and then it just wobbles, and he puts a soundtrack to the wobble. And he does different things. He like eats while he does it with the music. I mean, it's ridiculous. The
Okay.
stuff, like the stuff, the content that really works is just so authentic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a beautiful testament to that.
You
Um,
have to look for that.
so I don't know his name. I forgot. But it's just like a real. I can't gonna say this is fucking hilarious. The way like millions of views. Every video, this guy has 5 million views. He goes to a restaurant. He eats ice cream.
Okay.
Yeah, like he's in his center. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Um, Maybe one day off center. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where he goes. That guy. So, all right. So, any kind of closing remarks for this podcast, since we're nearing the end of this episode? Like, is there any closing remarks, tips, or thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I think it's really just kind of what we've already been on these last couple of minutes. It's like, you've got to find your center, and that's a process. And part of that process is trusting the process. It's not always easy, and it's not always happy, and there's a lot there,
Yeah,
and there's support to be had around it.
yeah. So here you have it. Find your center. I like when people have kind of like just simple answers. Because there's a lot of words that you can say and talk around, but you notice when people kind of like really found their core, which you have, because their words become so succinct, right? And their message becomes very congruent, and there's not much to say, right? Find your center, and
Yeah,
from there, all the answers will come.
exactly. Yeah.
So thank you so much for being part of this episode of the Successful Spiritualpreneur podcast. And yeah, excited to see your path going forward. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on the show, Mike.
Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun. I learned a ton about tea, and I love it. I'm going to go buy yours right now.
Thank you. All right. Bye bye. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks again.